Are you interested in starting your own cash PT practice? Maybe a little side hustle practice right now because you're bored with what you do at work and you're seeing massive volumes of patients. I found the most success by going this route through a practice in a gym. And this is why I started the Gym PT Blueprint. The Gym PT Blueprint is really a program that shows you exactly how to be successful in the cash model, whether it's a side practice or you're diving head first like I did. This shows you exactly how to set your finances up correctly, how to set your practice up correctly, how to sell things, how to market yourself, and how to really convey your unique value to other people so that they'll want to pay you for it. If you are struggling to figure out how to set your practice up correctly, or if you're in practice and you're not making at least 5 figures a month at this point, you really should check out the Gym PT Blueprint. Head over to drdannymattei.com/products. That's DRDANNYMATTA.com/products to take a look at the Gym PT Blueprint and see how this program can help you become successful. So here's the question. How do physical therapists like us, who don't want to see 30 patients a day, who don't want to work home health, and have real student loans, create a career and life for ourselves that we've always dreamed about? This is the question, and this podcast is the answer. My name's Danny Mattei, and welcome to the PT Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Doc Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast, and it's a Thursday. It's a short one today. A little nugget of information, hopefully to inspire you guys to do something more. And I got super inspired last night. I got a chance to chat with one of my good friends, Joe Shamanik. He's was a co-host of the Doc and Jock podcast with me for years. He and I have known each other for over 10 years. His wife and I went to PT school together. We met while we were in San Antonio, and it's just been fun to be able to get to know somebody that is just a unique, smart, kind of genuinely nice, funny, interesting person like Joe who's doing some unique things. And I talked to him about this kid's book that he just wrote, which is just a cool project. The idea is really to help with this idea that little girls, shouldn't be strong, and for them to make it, for it to be okay for them to, strength train, and that strength is not a masculine thing necessarily. And for me, as a father with a little girl, that's something that I think is a really healthy message, and something that's come a long way, even the last 10 years with a lot of things that CrossFit has done, and female-only powerlifting competitions, and weightlifting is just like on a whole nother level now, and I think it's amazing, and I think Joe is doing something that's going to be really impactful, and that's what I really wanted to talk about was this idea of impact, because money is fine. It's whatever. It's great. We need to make money. But one thing that really drives us to progress and to do the difficult things that are like write a book or start a practice or a podcast, these podcasts require a certain amount of time, energy, money, work. You don't just get into these things because you're just trying to make a quick buck. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of ways to make money if you want to make money. It's about impact. It's about how many people can you help. It's about what do people say when, in however many years when I'm gone, what does my legacy look like? And I hope that it involves people that, said, Danny was really impactful on our profession and helped drive it forward and helped however many, PTs realize that they could have their own practice. They could do things that created financial and time freedom for themselves and their family. And that's about impact. That's about long-term reach in a positive way to as many people as possible. And you have to keep those things in mind when you're pushing your message, because The other side of it is the fact that if you do not know how to sell or market or create systems around what you're doing or hire the right people, what likelihood do you have true success and a lot of impact? Let's think about this just in terms of a practice. And this is one of the reasons why I have no problem whatsoever selling the things that we offer from a business support standpoint. Between the Gym PT Blueprint and the mastermind that we have, I'll sell my ass off to get people in those things, because I know if I do, they're gonna have success with what they actually want. It's the discomfort of getting started. It's the discomfort of getting going into something like that that we have to push people past. But I'm not selling people on the fact that I want to make a little bit more money. We're helping people create significant change in their lives, and that's what it's all about. And when we talk to our patients, and if we can't sell the fact that we can help them get back to whatever activities they're having to avoid, what amount of impact can we hope to have? We may be the best physical therapists in the world, and I talk to plenty of people that are way better clinicians than I'll ever be, and that's great. That's amazing, because we need it. But they are no good at selling themselves. They're no good at selling or marketing their services. They're no good at hiring people. They're no good at replicating themselves and systemizing their business. So what happens? Well, they end up having much less impact on the world than what they could. How many people can you help with the method that you have found to be successful with treating patients? If it's just you, it's a finite number of people, very small number of people. If you can scale that and leverage that into being able to train other PTs to do the same thing, this was one of the main reasons we wanted to scale at Athletes Potential, was to grow, to be able to teach the way that we were working with patients to other PTs, and for them to be able to really extend the amount of impact that we were having in our community, because we were getting these cool results, because we were doing things slightly differently. And at this point now, we're just brought on our fourth PT, and we're going to do the same thing with him and really show him the model that we have, and then add the things that he is really interested in on top of that, so we can have bigger impact, better results, and help more people in our area get back to the things that they really enjoy doing and stop avoiding activities. And that's the impact that we want you to think about, because when you're selling what your service is, you have to keep that in mind. And if you don't get that person to commit to you, if you don't get that person to come in and see you, then you are not able to have the impact that you can have on that person's life in a very positive way. So it's up to you to learn how to do these things that you may not be very good at, which I had to learn as well. I wasn't good at sales and marketing. I had to spend a lot of time learning the discomfort of learning something new and being turned down, and trying to progress is challenging. But it all came down to how much impact did I want to make. And you have to ask yourself the same thing, because if you're just chasing money, if you're just chasing dollars, it's going to be, there's going to be an empty feeling there for you when you hit whatever revenue goal it would be. I remember early on, I just wanted to have $100,000 in a business account, just sitting there. I don't know why. That's just what I wanted to do. And I just thought, man, I've never seen $100,000 of my own money in an account before. I want to see that. And when we got there, I had probably 5 seconds of momentary satisfaction, and then nothing, and then it was okay, well, now it needs to be 200, and then it needs to be 300, and it just goes from there. There's never an end when you just look at the dollars and cents of what's going on. But when we look at impact, and in terms of how many people we've been able to help, 1,500 people in the city of Atlanta we've worked with one-on-one in the last 4 years. That's a lot of people. We're going to be at 2,000 by the end of this year. 100 PTs we've helped establish cash practices in the last 9 months. I am so freaking proud of that from an impact standpoint. I mean, when we started this podcast and we started the Blueprint in particular, it was to help take the systems, the kind of recipe for success that we found in starting a practice in a gym, which I think is just such an elegant, simple way of getting exposure to the right people and having low overhead. And we wanted to teach people how to do the same thing, in their area. And our goal was to have 1,000 people in the next 5 years go through that and be able to set up these little micro clinics, because I do think that is a big piece of the PT kind of business framework going forward, are these micro clinics. And right now, we're 9 months in, and we're at over 100 people that have successfully, gone through it, and that's amazing from an impact standpoint. Now, does that generate revenue? Sure, but do I really spend a lot of time looking at that and get excited about that? Not really. I mean, I look at it because I have to have accountability items for the business group that I'm in. I have to know where money is coming in and how much net profit we have and all these things from a business metric standpoint. But when it comes down to, what really gets me excited in terms of the progression in our business, it's how many people are we able to help, and it's how many people are able to help other people, right? Because that's the sort of this net impact multiplier, right? So if I've helped 100 practices get started and going, and these are all really good practitioners, how many people are those folks going to end up working with or have already worked with? And if they can grow their practices, how many people can they work with if they bring other people on? And we have this net multiplier that just grows and grows and grows, and that's impact, and that's what's really that's what really matters. And keep that in mind, because if you just chase money, if you just say, I just want to make this much money, I mean, that will only get you so far. And then you're going to have a little bit of an empty feeling whenever you do hit those goals, versus how many people do you want to help? How much impact do you want to have? And really be able to gauge that as a marker of success, more so than what your bottom line is.
Hey, real quick before we go, I just want to say thanks so much for listening to this podcast. If you're one of the people that's already headed over to iTunes and left me a review, I really appreciate it. There's been over 50 iTunes reviews, and all of them being 5 stars, that have been left on this podcast since we started in August. That's awesome. And I read every single review. I take every little piece of advice that you give me in there, any criticism, any positive feedback that you have, I read all of it. And it's amazing to see that we're even getting reviews internationally at this point. So if you're one of the people that's reviewed the podcast, thanks so much. If you're an active listener of this podcast, I highly, highly encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and go to iTunes and leave me a short review. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and it really does help me get this information in front of more people. So guys, thanks again for your time, and keep listening.